To the meeting of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. We will start off this morning. We always begin with invocation, and then it'll be followed by the pledge. Pastor Rob Ellard from Bath Springs Baptist Church here in Decatur County will be leading us in the prayer, and then after that, Mayor Mike Creasy, if you would lead us in the pledge.
All right. If we could, let's bow our heads. Father, again, we're grateful and thankful for just a wonderful and a beautiful day. God, we thank you for the individuals that are in this room, and Lord, what they represent for our state. We thank you for our state. And Father, we come to the place of business today, that which has to be done and transpired in this place. God, we pray for divine wisdom. We pray that, Lord, you'd give leadership and direction to the commissioners. I pray that, God, there would be questions answered. And Father, we just pray that your will, your way would be done. Again, we're so grateful and thankful for what these individuals do, the time that they give. We thank you for the officers, Lord, that go out and do the job daily. And Father, I pray that your wisdom, that your protection, God, that as they do their responsibilities, Father, that you just put a protective hand about them. Bless their homes, bless their families. God, again, bless the families that are here and represented, God, that are sitting in the chairs. We know not, Father, what individuals are dealing with today, but we pray that your will and your way would be done. Bless the meeting, and God will give you the praise and the glory for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If you will, remove your caps. Flags to your right, to your left. Excuse me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome each of you on the behalf of Decatur County here today. I know we're living in just perilous times right now, and the outdoors is a place that we all go for refuge. I'm a coon hunter. Some of you deer hunters and duck hunters might not like that, but I do it. I enjoy it. I compete nationwide, and you get to see the frost in the morning. And a lot of times you get to see it on the see the moonlight and everything else, and you get out, and it's a way to get out and enjoy nature. You all know that. That's the reason you're here. I appreciate this commission and the work they do. I know it's hard to. I've got 11,000 people here. It's a small rural county, of course, and it's hard to satisfy, the bulk of that. And I know the work that you do in protecting the culture that is within this county and within our state. And also, I want to thank you for the work you did here a couple years ago on a boat ramp down in the Parable area. It was badly needed, and I appreciate that. Again, welcome. We do not have a mask mandate here. I do encourage you to wear one when you see fit, and personal responsibility. That's the kind of way we look at it here. And again, enjoy here in Decatur County. We thank you for coming. It looks like you got a great crowd, Kurt. And again, appreciate the work you do, and be safe out there, and have a good seasons coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Danette, would you call the roll, please, for the commissioners?
Angie Box.
Here.
Jim Ripley.
Jim Ripley's having trouble right now. I got on the phone with him, and he's having trouble with his Zoom, but he's trying.
Dennis Gardner. Steve Jones.
Here.
Connie King.
Here.
Tony Sanders.
Here.
James Stroud. Here. Kent Woods.
Here.
Tommy Woods.
Here.
Hank Wright.
Here.
Brian McLaren.
Here.
Kurt Holbert.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Danette. You've all received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting on your iPads or a hard copy. I have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Stroud and a second from Commissioner Box. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. Director Wilson, do you have any announcements?
Not this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I know most of you are here for the duck blinds. We do have about a few minutes this morning. We're going to talk about Asian carp. The majority of people in this room are affected by Asian carp. I have a feeling if you live in our area at all. So I'm going to call on Mayor Brett Lashley, the Benton County Mayor, to come up. We awarded them with a grant, and we've not been able to get together due to COVID. And come on up, Mayor Lashley.
Thank you, Chairman Holbert. For those that don't know me, I'm Brett Lashley. I'm the Benton County Mayor. Anyone knows where Benton County is knows that we're kind of in the heart of Kentucky Lake. So I think we maybe need to rename Asian carp the Corona carp in today's times. But several years ago, when I was a candidate for county mayor, the emergence of the Asian carp threat began rearing its ugly head. And so I made a commitment at that time that I would educate myself as best possible, and of course seek the resources needed to be able to help us all fight, that particular battle. So I'm going to call out a couple people complimenting the TWRA services. One is Mr. Eric Gaines, and the assistance that he has given us in order to facilitate a grant to our county was invaluable. We could not have really done it without his expertise and his guidance and his oversight. Mr. Frank Fisk, these folks don't need any introduction. But again, having those resources to be able to go to and call upon, it's invaluable. I want to introduce to you Mr. Dale Robertson. He's one of 3 Asian carp licensed commercial vendors in Tennessee. And so about a year and a half ago, he came to me seeking that particular license and how the county can help facilitate, and that's all we did. We helped him with paperwork. We were a communication vehicle to TWRA. Mr. Gaines came to our county, sat down with us, spent the entire day. I know it was probably trying on his patience, but he walked us through the process and was invaluable and being able to make sure that all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted. I guess about a year later, the culmination of him receiving his license and us applying for that grant, Mr. Robertson and D&D Caviar was awarded our first Asian carp grant. It was roughly around, let's say, $124,000. But what we're doing is through y'all's assistance, is we're setting up a vendor here to help us fight that battle against the Asian carp. And that's where it starts, and it was from the grassroots level. And TWRA was really pivotal in that process. And I know the money's flowing through. Maybe some of it is federal monies, other state monies, but we could not have pulled that off without the assistance of TWRA. We've set a vendor up in our county to be successful. We're going to continue this fight. And I'm here just simply to say thank you. This is the first start towards this battle that we have with the Asian carp. And Benton County is going to do its part. Last year, we committed to a 3-year program stocking Kentucky Lake, along with partnership with TWRA, stocking our creeks throughout Benton and Henry counties. We're stocking ours with the Florida bass fingerlings, and we're going to do 150,000 fingerlings a year into our creeks for 3 straight years. So anything that we can do, Chairman Holbert, if you need to relay information to me or whatever, anything that we can do from a county level to help TWRA fight this battle as well, we're here to help. And of course, it's likewise. We need your help as well. And at this time, I just want Mr. Robertson to just give you a few words to show you the impact that this is having on his business.
Yes, this grant money is going to be invaluable to enlarging my ability to take care of this, helping this. This is going to be a long, drawn-out fight, and I really wish we could publicize more what we are doing, because we're taking thousands of pounds out, and I really like to thank the commission for the investment they've made in $1 million investment. Ain't nothing to sneeze at now. It's a serious problem, and we're trying to do the best we can with the money you've given to us, or I am with the money you gave me to address this problem. I just wanted to say thank you.
We appreciate you wanting to be in the business of doing it. It's a major problem. We made a commitment that we would fund the programs, and I know we even had to put more money into some of the programs because the fishermen were fishing and catching so many of them that we actually had to up the ante and put more money in it. But I can promise you this commission will support it. As long as the Asian carp are there, we want them gone. But we appreciate you, Mayor Lashley. I know you've submitted some plans for a boat access area. Want us to come look at that. A lot of potential in Benton County to help you with rural economic development, to help your area out a lot. But appreciate it. But we'll get a picture with y'all if it's all right, since we haven't been able to do that. And that way the folks in Benton County will know you actually received it. So.
Yeah.
But Director Wilson, would you come up for a picture?
And I know the state doesn't give Christmas bonuses, but if you do, Eric Gaines deserves one. I'm telling you, he was worth all the value possible.
There is one more group today that I'd like to honor. The specific day they were honored was yesterday, was Veterans Day. And I know we've got one veteran on the commission who is not here. He's on Zoom, Commissioner Jones. But if you're a veteran in the crowd, whether you work for TWRA or you're a member of the public, I would like to ask you to stand if you would. Each one of you that stood have given more than I can ever think about giving, and I just want you to know I appreciate you, and I know many others in this room do as well. But thank you for the service to our country. Many of you are still serving. I know Mayor Lashley's in the Guard, but appreciate each one of you. Anybody else got anything that's not duck blind related? All right. We do have give you a little overview, we do have a cutoff time of noon. I plan on, if time allows, to at 11:45 to go back and let the commission have some discussion. If it doesn't allow, we don't have to, but we're going to try to get back and discuss it. No decision will be made today. No vote will be made today. I want to make that clear to everyone. No proposal will be made. There will be ideas and options, but we will not hear a true proposal today. We're going to go back with your comments. That was the whole reason. I'm going to read I'm not a good speaker, so I've wrote down my thoughts this morning, but some of you may find them harsh, but I've found some of yours harsh. So I do ask that each person here would respect each other. All of you are not going to have the same opinion, one way or the other. But anyway, I'm going to read this. It troubles me that we are now in a situation where a group of people have launched a full attack on the commissioners. It's a personal attack, all because of something they think we may do. People at this meeting have taken to social media defaming and slandering the commissioners, and even go so far as to threaten some of us in an effort to intimidate and pressure us into making decisions. It is sad we live in a country that has come to this point, and instead of discussing an issue in a civil manner, people use pressure tactics to try and coerce people to do what they want. The ironic thing is that there is not even a proposal on the table yet. I can't imagine how bad it would be if there was an actual proposal to disagree on. I challenge everyone here and listening on social media to rise above those tactics. Just like on the national level, these tactics do nothing but cause more division and animosity between us all. We are a people that are better than these tactics. Today's meeting was scheduled solely for the purpose of the public to be able to come and comment. As far as I know, many of you know, I'm not sure that's ever been done before on duck hunting. The commission will listen as the agency reports on potential options concerning duck blinds on agency properties. After the agency finishes, the commission will have time to discuss and ask questions. Then public comments will be accepted after the commission has had the opportunity to ask the agency questions. If you wish to speak, please sign in, or please sign the list. Groups that are here, if you're here with a group, you may designate a person to represent their joint interests. To be fair and so that everyone may be heard that wants to speak, I reserve the right to cut off comments after 2 minutes and to limit repetitive comments. Now, I will also say many of you have been very kind and courteous, regardless if you agreed with me or other commissioners or not. I'm looking at many of you I've talked to that have been as kind as can be. But there's many folks who have went above and beyond the other way. I have a family. Every commissioner up here has a family. We have children. Those children read those comments on social media, believe it or not. And just like your children, they think the world of their parents, just like yours does, and they think they're right. It doesn't matter. I always thought my dad was right. So anyway, I hope you respect this statement, not ill will toward anyone. It was just my feelings I wrote down this morning. I truly thank you for being here today. That was the whole reason I wanted the meeting, was to get your input, your ideas, your disagreement, your agreement, all of that. And I respect each one of them, whether we agree or not. I'm thankful these commissioners made an effort to come. Commissioner Stroud, I appreciate you very much. I know it was an effort to get here on your part. All of you that are here, the ones that are online, hopefully they're all can listen in now. But at this time, I'm going to call on our Assistant Chief, Chris Richardson. He will be presenting the options, and if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand, and we'll use this microphone here. When you come up, I would ask that you state your name for the record, where you're from, the town and the city. That way we'll know where the comments are coming from. All that'll be documented on video, so we can go back and watch and see where the comments came from. Your questions will be directed at me, and then I will either direct them to Chris, or we have a panel over here of managers and our Chief of Wildlife and Assistant Chief. So if your question will get answered today. It may not be the way you want it to, but it will get answered. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Holbert.
Who, by the way, to break the ice, is just an excellent shot with a muzzleloader. You should ask him about it sometime.
Thank you, Chairman. And I want to start by echoing some of the same sentiment. It's exciting to work in the position that I am and be able to work on things that I'm passionate about. It's even more exciting when the public comes and we have an opportunity to engage. We work for you. The work that we do would not be possible without the support you provide by buying licenses, buying permits, and equipment to hunt and fish. So I want to start by saying thank you. The other part of Chairman Holbert's statement that I want to hit on again is the fact that we are just at the beginning stages of this proposal. I can't tell you how many comments that I've seen that say that the agency has their mind made up and this is all a rubber stamp process and the commission already knows what they're going to do. We don't. We know that we have passionate duck hunters in this state that want an opportunity to hunt on public land that's there for you to hunt on. So we want to take the time and different methodologies to try to gain knowledge from you on what you want and balance that against maximizing the opportunity for the most amount of people while still guarding against the fact that we want people to be able to participate in this sport. And those are difficult things to manage and to balance when you're dealing with limited areas and migratory species and flooding and water and all the different aspects that come along with waterfowl hunting. So today you will not hear a recommendation from the agency. You will not hear me say we are going to do this. You're going to see some of the options that we have been talking about. You're going to hear how some of our areas are drawn. I know all of you are probably familiar with at least one or two of our WMAs, but maybe not the way that the procedures work on all of them. So what we're looking at is a comprehensive across the state, and no WMA, the way you hunt Reelfoot Lake is going to be dramatically different than the hunting that goes on Old Hickory Lake in Middle Tennessee. So we don't believe that there's a one-size-fits-all answer to that question about how are we going to maximize opportunity. So if you look at the background of how we got here, whether it's anecdotal evidence, it's survey results, it's comments that people put in during the season setting, we know that there is a desire from the hunting public for more opportunity. We know that there are limited sites, there are limited places that can reliably harvest waterfowl, and it seems that many hunters are dissatisfied with the current way that we administer those places. And so as we started to look at how that system worked, we're evaluating two factors, and you'll hear me say this a lot today, but we're evaluating the opportunity that we can provide people and the participation that's going on right now. So, is the system fair? Everyone in this room has heard or knows or has bought or sold a blind. It's illegal, it's against the law, and it's unfair. We have people show up to our duck blind draws currently that all they want is a spot to go hunting. We also have a bunch of people show up at our duck blind draws because they think it's a lottery. And they are there for the sole purpose to get a permit that they can then turn around and sell for financial gain with no intention on hunting whatsoever. That's something that needs to change. We also want to acknowledge the traditions we have here. I grew up in the Boot Heel of Missouri. I hunted ducks in rice fields out of layout blinds growing up. My wife was from Memphis and her family hunted Arkansas, so I learned how to duck hunt in standing water and flooded timber. Then I came to Tennessee, and there's a tradition of hunting in large structures and blinds, which is different. And it's different than what I grew up doing, but it doesn't make it any less traditional or any less important or any less desirable way to hunt. Overall, we want to make things better for the state. We want to drive rural economies. We want to bring money into the communities. But most importantly, where our focus is on the duck hunters and providing that opportunity for people to have a quality experience. Currently, we have really three main methodologies that we administer our public lands. Some of it is open hunting. It's first come, first serve. There are options and opportunities to just go duck hunting. There's no blinds, there's no maintenance, there's no permits required. Percy Priest and Moss Island, as you see on the screen, there are two of those areas. There are others throughout the state. We also have quota systems. I think many in the room are probably familiar with Pagoda and Thorny Cypress, Chickamauga. We draw shorter duration permits that those permit holders get to come in and hunt for 3 days, 4 days, sometimes shorter. And then lastly, and probably the majority of the people are here to talk about is the permanent blind sites. Those areas, Camden, Reelfoot, Cheatham, Old Hickory, where we have a blind drawing on the first Saturday in August, and we award a permit to an individual that's drawn and along with their sign-ons, and those individuals have a right and a priority to those areas for a full 60 days. So if you think about those three systems and how do you maximize the opportunity and the participation, the open land hunting, it's as maximized opportunity as you can have. If it's daylight hours and it's duck season, you can go hunt them there. There's really not much to change there, and unless, and I believe that some options that we may look at is there opportunity to provide more areas like that, that don't require a permit, that don't require a drawing. So we certainly want to consider that open hunting, and I don't believe that we will look to reduce the areas that we have that are currently open. The quota hunts, as I alluded to earlier, there is ways. I think there are ways. I think we're going to continue to listen to the public comment, but there could be ways that we can increase that opportunity by providing more areas that do draw on a shorter term basis. And then obviously with the season-long blinds, when you give a certain group of hunters or a smaller group of people priority to a duck hunting spot for a 60-day season, you are obviously reducing the opportunity for other citizens and other hunters to enjoy those same areas. So as we move forward and we look at those areas that have season-long permits, there is a lot of opportunity that we can increase. Now, again, we have to be guarded in providing so much opportunity that people don't take advantage of it. And so balancing that opportunity with the participation is going to be very important. I should say for those that hunt on Reelfoot or West Sandy, there's no consideration and there's no discussion of any of the permanent registered blind sites that are essentially privately owned at this time. Those blinds will remain exactly as they have been, and over time, as the state, as those blinds become back into the state process, we will look to add those to one or more of the ways that we're administering duck blinds. Right now, on the permanent blinds, you essentially are awarding one group of hunters the area for 60 straight days. And that, Joe, if you'll go ahead, it amounts to one hunt per season. If you think of the way we do quota hunts and things for deer and turkey, it would be a very strange situation, I think, if we were to carve out 50 acres of Cheatham WMA and give it to somebody and say, here's your 50 acres, you can deer hunt the whole season here, nobody else can. That's what we do with duck hunting, and it's a bit of a strange and different system. So if we were to go to one hunt per week, for example, as opposed to a 60-day season, you're able to get 10 hunts, 10 different groups of hunters in there. If you go to 2 hunts a week, like we have at Pagoda and Thorny Cypress, you get 18 hunts per season. So each spot is then serving 18 different groups of people potentially. If you flush that out and you look at the numbers, and there are currently 454 blind sites that are drawn for in any given year. Right now, that's 454 hunters that have an opportunity to secure one of those permits. If you go to more than one hunt a week, you can see the numbers as they increase. And this is what we're talking about with opportunities for hunters to secure permits, to go onto that public land, know that they have a spot, and be able to hunt it. And now, granted, it's not a 60-day permit, but it's more opportunity for more people. Go ahead, Joe. Right now, the way we apply for duck permits, if you look at Pagoda and Thorny Cypress, there's one application period you put in. You prioritize all of the dates for the season. We're considering looking at ways to make that more efficient. We want to see more draws, more application periods, and break the season up a little bit to where people are drawing for these hunts closer to the time in which they're actually going to go hunting. It also provides more opportunity for people to get in the draw, and if you don't miss one date, that doesn't foreclose you for the entire season from putting in for one of these permits. So if we were to break the season into 3 20-day periods, and we drew those 20 days at a time, we believe that it may in fact increase participation and increase the number of people that have an opportunity to draw. So obviously there is a component to this that we have to be mindful of the local duck hunter that lives near this WMA. He has a much better opportunity than anyone that has to travel. And in all likelihood, he's probably going to hunt more often on our WMAs. So currently we have leftover local drawings that are administering permits that either somebody said they're not going to show up, or a permit that just didn't get drawn through our quota system. We handle those currently through a leftover draw, and I think we are continuing to look at options, but I believe that that's going to be an important component to have some level of localized drawing for any permits that are left over, to give that opportunity to the hunters that live near those WMAs. The other big comment that we've received about the way that we draw is that there's no priority points when it comes to duck blinds. Everybody has exactly the same chance, whether they've gotten a permit in 4, 5, 6 consecutive years, or they haven't gotten a permit or been drawn in 50 years. Everybody is exactly the same every year. And that's unlike the way we administer most of our other hunts. And really nationwide, I'm sure many of you are familiar, most draw procedures have some level of priority that's awarded to somebody that's unsuccessful in getting a permit that year, so that they have a better chance the following year. And I think it's something that we need to consider and look at fully when we talk about our public land duck hunting opportunities. Again, going back, the ability, right now you have the ability to go to one draw on the first Saturday in August, and you got to pick which WMA you want to go to. And you only have the opportunity to hunt one WMA and be successful and be drawn on one. An online system, a quota system, administering things in a different way will provide more flexibility to apply for permits at multiple areas, which we believe increases that opportunity. A big point of contention clearly in the comments and in the feedback that we have received on social media, and I'm sure that we will receive today, surrounds the permanent structures, the blinds that are actually there. Who's going to build the blinds? Who's going to brush the blinds? That's the whole reason why we have 60-day seasons. It is a difficult issue to grasp, and we haven't made any decisions on that. I believe that ultimately, we are still going to have to do our current practice of evaluating the blinds, determining which ones are safe, determining which ones need repair. But exactly how we move forward, if we were to reduce the duration of the permits from a season long to something shorter, we recognize that there's less incentive for an individual to go in and put their own time, money, and effort into brushing and building those blinds if they don't feel like they're going to get an opportunity to hunt it more than a few days. So it's certainly something we want to hear from you about. We want to hear your thoughts on permanent structures. We want to hear your thoughts on the maintenance and brushing of those. We want to continue to allow our hunters to help us in that regard. We want to incentivize helping us in that regard. We also are going to look at options that may include partnerships with other organizations. An adopt-a-blind program is something that we've discussed. So is there opportunities for Delta Waterfowl and DU to support public land duck hunting in this state by providing resources to help maintain those structures? We also are discussing what it would look like if the agency took some responsibility for the construction maintenance of some of those blinds as well. The notice of intent. If you hunt pagoda, thorny cypress, you're familiar with this. If you don't, then you're probably not. But if in those current quota draw systems, if you're awarded a quota permit, you are required to, at some point before the season, file a notice of intent with the agency that essentially says, yes, I was awarded this permit, and yes, I intend on hunting it. We believe that that helps curtail no-shows. And we believe that it helps encourage the participation. I think that it is something in any system that we're going to look at moving forward with if we increase the number of blinds that are administered through quota, the notice of intent is something that I think is necessary and needs to continue. It also allows, when the notice of intent is not filed, for those permits that are left over to come back for another draw that could be administered through handheld means or through a more localized effort. All of you know the benefits to your economies that come from duck hunting. All of you know the money that you spend, the time that you devote, and the resources that it takes to go duck hunting. It's certainly an economic impact. And to a place, I'm sure Mike Hayes would tell you, to a place like Reelfoot Lake, it's a huge economic impact and a huge part of Lake County. We don't want to curtail that. We want to increase it. Governor Lee, in his executive order number 1, the first executive order that he signed, he wants his departments and the state to focus on rural economies, to focus on ecotourism, to focus on ways to drive people to economically distressed counties, which frankly many of our areas are in counties that are either at risk or distressed. So as a partner and as a member of state government, we see the importance and the value of driving folks to those areas to spend money, which will help with those local economies. And we believe if we maximize the opportunity in some of these areas, that economic impact will in fact increase. Again, this is a summary of everything that I've just said that's on this slide. You can read it. I won't read it to you. I want to stress again why we're here. We want to know what y'all think. We've had time to look at it. We still have questions. we don't know everything. We haven't thought of everything. And we're hopeful that as we continue this process of engaging the public and getting the comments, that we're going to become more refined with our ideas. And we may hear something today that we haven't thought of. We hope we do. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that is basically an option overview and really hopefully a conversation starter. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Not yet. I'm gonna let the commission ask questions first. Commissioners, any questions for Chris? All right, the way we're gonna start public comment is if you wanna make a comment, just let me know, Dustin, and come up to the.
I had a quick question before we got on that. So none of the options though are considered would remain the same, what you're telling us though, correct?
Well, there's been no decisions made. I think.
That wasn't discussed, right? That's not one of the options that's up for discussion, is to maintain what we currently have.
The status quo across the board, exactly where it is, that ultimately is going to be up to these 13 people. We were challenged to look at ways that we can maximize opportunity, and that's what we're doing.
Yep. To say it's not an option wouldn't be correct though, because it is an option. Yep. All right, I'm gonna start back in the back. If you will, come on up and your name and where you're from.
My name's Eric Wells. I'm from Dyer County, Dyersburg, Tennessee. First off, I want to thank you guys for what you do. All right. Next, my only concern is whenever you talk about these WMAs, I specifically am going to talk about Tigert WMA because that's in my back door, okay? That WMA has a total of 7,419 acres that are open to public access. Boat hunters can get out there and hunt and everything else. The blinds are scattered from the east end all the way to the west end of the WMA. How do you plan on restricting access to those blinds during the week? Are you going to shut the whole area down and stop people from accessing the WMA? If not, if the blind's empty during the week, it's a first come, first served because it's a draw blind, the way it is now. You know, so my concern is, are you going to shut the WMA down and reduce access to the public just so you can save those blinds for hunters on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Because now you're limiting access to hundreds of other hunters because you're talking a 7,000 acre WMA. And that's what concerns me, is if we say, well, we're going to make these blind draw blinds and just hunt them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm okay with that, but don't shut down the rest of the area because I boat hunt 99% of the time. And 99% of my hunting is done on WMAs. So if you take that access away from me, then, I mean, where am I going to hunt?
Thank you, sir. And
Thanks,
certainly appreciate the concern. I think that would go against the tenets of what we were challenged to do to maximize opportunity if we were to shut down a significant amount of acreage that's currently open to public hunting.
Right.
So while we have no proposal specifically on Tigert, I can tell you that I think it would be pretty unlikely that we're going to restrict that much access that's currently available, because we won't be able to say we're increasing opportunity, which
Right.
is why we're here.
And as a public ground hunter, I've drawn blinds before, okay? Whenever you tell me that I have that blind for 60 days of a 60-day season, I don't mind spending $1,000, $1,500 worth of lumber and fixing it up for me and my family and friends to hunt. And if we're not in it, I don't mind if the next group that comes boating by jumps in it and hunts.
Sure.
But whenever you start telling people that they're only going to have it for 3 days, people are not going to spend the money. I'm definitely not going to drop $1,000, $1,500 worth of new lumber in a blind I've got for 3 days. I could spend that money on a lease somewhere.
Yes, sir. Certainly think that's a valid
You
point
know,
as well.
and so when the state looks at that, I mean, you did address it, you know, I mean, there's 454 blinds, I think is what you said.
Yes, sir.
You know, and if it averages $2,500 worth of lumber, that's an expense. Now, who's going to maintain them? Who's going to keep them up?
Certainly a question that will have to be answered.
You know, and reducing the access to these areas. That's just my concern. I don't want us to lose any days of hunting on a 60-day season. Some people can hunt weekends, some people hunt during the week. So whenever we talk about creating like rest days and things like that, I would rather see you take away acreage and make it a safety zone. Plant crops in it. Don't allow any hunting in that area, rather than taking away a day that I could hunt, because my days are limited as it is. Don't hamstring me and take even more away from me. That's what I'm asking.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Microphone. Dustin, you had yours up for.
My name's Dustin Frazier. I'm in Weakley County, and I'm also here specifically to talk about Tigard and a few other areas that are close to me. I guess my first thing is I have a concern about this survey that kind of seems to have generated all this discussion. I haven't seen any numbers on how many people completed this survey that bought a license in waterfowl hunting in Tennessee.
A little over 19, almost 2,000.
2,000 duck hunters responded to this survey.
We sent the survey out to nearly 7,000 people. We received approximately 2,000 responses. From the responses, and again, let me couch this differently. We contracted with the University of Tennessee to be an independent study. We don't know how to do scientific surveys. We don't have that expertise as a human dimensions person within the agency. So we sought the help of the university. The university sent out the survey to nearly 7,000 people and surprisingly got back nearly 2,000 responses. They evaluated those responses and determined that there were approximately 900 of the respondents that were in fact public land duck hunters in Tennessee. The results that you've seen or that you've heard are based on the attitudes of those individuals.
Those 900?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'm representing today a little over 700 people that have so far asked me to speak on their behalf. They've given, and I can provide each of you with names, TWRA ID numbers, and dates of birth of people that you all can verify bought a license this year and entered the blind drawing. So over 700 that I can provide for you, and really just kind of getting started. I have yet to find a single person that has completed this survey. 700 plus people that put in for the drawing, not a single person I've found. Now, I've talked to a couple game wardens, commissioners that have told me they know of a person here and person there. I've talked to 700. Not a one of them are in support of doing away with permanent season-long blind drawings. It'd be hard for me to believe that 80% of the people are unhappy about permanent blind drawings. I've got questions about the survey. I think we asked people, are you happy about how everything's going? Of course people have concerns. They do. They're going to have concerns. We sent a survey out after the worst duck season we've had in 30 years. People are upset. One of the things I saw that wasn't mentioned today was people mentioned at the last meeting how they want to try online drawings. If you'd have surveyed me last year after the season, I would have been absolutely opposed to it. I had several conversations with Jason Maxton about that. I didn't want to do away with the in-person drawings. After a year doing the online, I'm more comfortable with that. I think we can all agree the odds of us having enough vaccines for everybody to get a couple shots by August 1st and make sure they work, probably not very realistic. We got an opportunity to do an online drawing again for the second year and then reevaluate where people are at. I know you said you don't have the expertise to do the survey on your own. There's no reason why TWRA can't set a survey link up through your website on your quota hunt, just like we all log in. There were 15,000 people logged in and applied for these blind drawings. Allow us to log in, complete a survey, and ask pointed questions, not do you have concerns? Of course we have concerns. Pointed questions. Do you want to have it online? Do you want to have it in person? Do you support doing away with 60-day blinds, or do you want to keep them? I think all 15,000 of us that spend $175 to buy a license in the state of Tennessee ought to have the opportunity to give that voice, not just me standing here representing a lot of them. I'm sorry that you all have had to deal with those concerns of people crossing the line. I hate that. I hate that you have. But I think it shows the passion of how serious people are about these. That doesn't make it right, but it just shows the passion people have about these permanent blinds. And also, I think one of the reasons that you got that backlash is because the lack of transparency and questions that people have, because they always are going to assume the worst.
So that's why we're here.
And
I would respectfully offer to you, if the survey was the be-all, end-all, if we were going to base our decisions on the survey, we wouldn't be here. The survey that we did with the University of Tennessee is a scientifically valid survey. The number of respondents that came back to that survey is more respondents than the average presidential poll uses for a nationwide poll. So I understand your concerns over the survey, and the 700 people you've talked to haven't had it, but that's not the end of the discussion. It's one piece. This is another piece. There will be additional pieces. As we continue to find ways to engage the public, that survey is not the end of that discussion.
Okay, well, and I have seen that we're going to have some discussion today. We're going to have discussion over the next month or two, and a potential vote in January, February is what I have seen floated around. So we're going to have this today, and to be honest with you, until a duck hunter sent me the link to the video, I had no idea there was a discussion going on. Unless you got on one of these social media sites, people didn't know. All the people I've been contacting, they have no idea what's going on. That's not fair. They should have an idea, and then we're going to have a couple months of 2 more meetings, possibly people to have show up during duck season, during a pandemic, to give their opinion and potentially change something that's been going on for 50 years that people are obviously passionate about. I just feel like it's rushed. We deserve patience. We've had this a long time. I think we need to give the online drawings another year. Let's survey more people, and you all, like I said, can run it through your website, ask the questions, have them come up with whatever. The results will be there, and I believe you'll truly see at the end that what people were telling you is not what you heard. You heard people weren't happy. They're unhappy about the buying and selling the blinds? Absolutely. I've had discussions with commissioners. It's hard to enforce. I get that. But, make the penalty. If you get caught buying or selling a duck blind, it's a 10-year automatic loss of license in the state of Tennessee. Let's make it a penalty that would, deter people from breaking that law, because currently they're not, if that's a number one concern. 2, let's do it online, and then again, let's ask all these people what they think after that point. I think we all deserve more discussion, and because once you make this change, I know you haven't got to that point yet. We're going to partner with people to build blinds. I don't know how many of you have built a blind on public property. I have. Okay, we built 11 of them at Tiger at WMA. I don't know how many of you built a blind in Tigard.
So you've been drawn 11 times on
I know
Tigard?
people have through the years, absolutely. Absolutely, because there's groups of people going, because Tigarad's one of the abandoned WMAs. Wasn't listed on the slides today. We got 2 people here, first 2 comments up talking about it. We don't get any money spent at Tigard. The work's done by the hunters there at Tigard. But we built blinds through the years. Groups have built blinds through the years. We've taken care of those blinds. It's thousands of dollars. It's a lot of man hours, because you have to have 2 boats to access the property. So you're telling me in a week-long setting, somebody's going to come down the river, put a boat over the levee to get to the second spot, put their decoys out, and have the blind set hunt? It's not realistic. And if you don't have people down there working, we work every weekend, starting the day after the blind drawing. We work every weekend cleaning holes, spraying grass, cutting buckbrush, making it accessible to hunt, because if not, it's unhuntable. We do that. If you go to this, you can do away with Tigard, the draw side. And also at Tigard, he said there's 7,000 acres. We got 18 blinds clustered on property that you can't access with one boat for the most part. That's why Carl Werwa set that up years ago, because they didn't want to limit the everyday access.
I'm going to have to ask you to finish up.
There's 5,000 plus acres.
Comment.
There's 5,000 plus acres that people can hunt every day. I don't know how many of you spend time down there. There's 5 or 6 or 7 groups hunting that 5,000 acres. The last quick comment, you guys made a change at Crockett, at Gooch Unit E. Look at that WMA. I hunt that multiple times a year. I'll be there opening day. Outside of the opening weekends, there's 4 to 5 pools hunted. And the reason why, because you want to increase opportunity. A couple things you can do there. You limit people to 24 selections. There's 200 possible selections. So all the local people, you get 20 opportunities put in for the best 1 or 2 spots, because they'd like to hunt that. They don't have the option to put in for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So then your out-of-state hunters put in for all the rest of the spot. I mean, your out-of-the-area hunters. And then they have no idea how to get there. They don't understand the equipment they need, and they sit empty. Now, it helps my hunting, because when I'm there, there's 3 or 4 spots hunted out of 2,000 acres we're not using. And that's what's going to happen at Tigard at places like that. There is plenty of opportunity. TWRA, in my opinion, needs to do a better job of letting people know what opportunity they currently have, because there is a ton of opportunity. If somebody just wants to duck hunt, there is a ton of opportunity that's not being used. Thank you.
Thank you. You got it.
How you doing? I'm
will,
Ricky
state your name.
Hoot Hazel Grove. A couple of y'all know me by Hoot. Anything I'm fixing to say is very selfish, because I'm speaking for other people, but I don't like doing that. I'm here. First off, let me say I spent 20 years in the United States Marine Corps. want to thank every one of you for standing up for me. Thank you. And I can guarantee you, all Marines appreciate it too. Having said that, last week I got a phone call from a guy in North Carolina. I'm like, here we go, what's up? Well, he's in charge of 5 amputated Purple Heart recipients. I'm starting to get a little nervous now because I'm so humble about what I got asked. He wants me to take them duck hunting. You think that's not going to happen? But it's on my land. It has nothing to do with a drawed hunt. I hate to be barking up the wrong tree or whatever. What I'm asking y'all, I am dotting so many I's and so many T's so fast to make this happen. They have prosthetics. That's group 1. Group 2 are in wheelchairs. Purple Heart recipient. A man and woman, wife and husband Purple Heart recipient coming to my area. I'm humbled. I like to say the bad one. I'm sorry, I almost did. I'm very humble. I'm very my God, I'm going to make it happen. I'm asking y'all, could you let these guys, one lady, have a 3-day free hunt? 3 of them are from, they're Tennesseans. They're based out of Fort Bragg. I just want y'all to table that, and somebody could get back in touch with me. Woo! As far as this other stuff, right out my back door, Grays Creek Wetland Management Area, Hardeman County, Tennessee. Years past, it had to have conditions, no blinds on it. But when we got flood water, whoo, we were happy because we see them going there. We're happy the ducks are in the area. That's what makes us happy nowadays in my area. See a duck. And number 3, God bless you all. Here's another biggie. Taking my hat off to each and every one of you. You just allowed me 2 more days of duck season for veterans and active duty military. Thank you very much, and I'm going to take this young lady deer hunting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank every one of y'all. Appreciate it.
Mr. Wood?
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jerry Wood. I'm a retired school teacher. I am a lifetime license holder along with my son and my 2 grandsons. I have a long history of participating in TWRA duck blind drawing. When I was in high school, TWRA had a daily drawing that they showed up at 4 a.m. and I went there and got drawn and hunted. TWRA built the blinds and brushed them. That didn't last long. And I'm saying that to say this. If you change the 60 days for a person who shows up to get drawn, you're going to do away with all the blinds eventually. Because TWRA is not going to do them. And like y'all, it's been said, we do a 3 or 4 day hunt, they're not going to do them. And I have participated in your 3 or 4 day hunts and got drawn. And it's boat hunting. And when I take my grandson boat hunting and it's raining, the quality of duck hunting is going to decrease when you take away the duck blinds. Now, I have been drawn several times at Camden, Big Sandy, first Saturday in August. You know why I got drawn? Because I showed up and put my name in the basket. And I took a non-duck hunter with me. I have purchased the license for my wife to show up just for that day to put her name in the drawing. Why? Because she wanted to draw a blind for me and my son to hunt. She is not a duck hunter. But she put her name in the basket. And she's been drawn. I've been drawn multiple times. So these people that might say that it's unfair the way we're doing it, Maybe they need to bring somebody else and buy their license like I did and show up. Because, yes, I've been drawn multiple times. I have built blind at Camden Bottom. Okay, I've hunted almost every blind in Camden, Gin Creek, Big Sandy, and Harmon's Creek. Do you know how I've done that? Did I get drawn for that? No. The current system way it's set up, if the card holder does not show up, that blind is open. I would put the boat in, not knowing where I'm going to hunt that day, and go find a blind that's not occupied. But the possibility of changing that, now, that's opportunity hunting. But you got to make an effort. Maybe some of these people are not making an effort who are complaining about not getting drawn. I made an effort to hunt. Was it easy? No, it wasn't. But the opportunity does exist to hunt in lots of places with a blind. That's a quality hunt. Okay? If you go to this, if you go to this 3 and 4 day hunt, which I've participated and been drawn before, if you participate in that, it's going to turn into boat hunting. The quality of hunting is going to go down. Down. And our young people are not going to be real happy with that. Not going to be real happy. So the opportunity still does exist for lots of people to hunt nowadays if they'll make an effort. They're wanting to make it easy, though. And it won't be easy for them to be in a boat, because that's what's going to happen to all these areas eventually. Now, they got blinds on them now, but eventually the blinds will deteriorate and have to be burnt. That turns it into boat hunting. The quality of duck hunting will go down. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I'm going to allow the mayor of Big Sandy's here, and I don't know if she needs to leave or not, but she had asked me earlier, so I was going to let Autumn come on up and speak.
I'm Autumn Ratliff. I'm the mayor of Big Sandy. I'm also a school teacher, so thank you. I know that there are a lot of passionate people about this, and that is awesome to see this many people out. I am super passionate about my town. I'm born and raised in Big Sandy. This is really high. I brought some numbers, and no, it's not professional. Again, I'm a school teacher, I apologize. Of our sales tax and other things that the duck blind drawn brings to our town. I don't know how many people have been to Big Sandy on the first Saturday of August. That is usually a national holiday in Big Sandy. I have worked every one of these departments except the fire department. Our town comes together and we get so much money that helps so many people on this one weekend, and I would hate to see that disappear. My church parks cars, and I know you're like, wow, that's nothing. Guys, we get like $1,000 for 2 accounts, youth group and general fund, just by parking cars. Here's my story. One time we had somebody come up and he asked what the money went for, and we said, this side goes to our youth group. He sent us a $1,000 check from his nonprofit organization. Big Sandy is a very poor town. We feed kids at our church because they do not get food anywhere else. So if we take this away, we're not only affecting hunters, we're affecting kids. We get money for our general fund to improve our church because it's luckily right there across from the supermarket. Our volunteer fire department also makes at least $700 a year doing this. This can go towards fire equipment, training, things they need. Also, again, they are volunteer. We also have a Little League. How many of y'all have kids that play Little League? Yeah, it's rough, and especially in a small town with 5 or 6 parents that will step up. Our Little League, how many of you had a Little League cheeseburger from Big Sandy? Yep, there we go. Our Little League makes anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 every August. On this paper, you can see the depletion from our city sales tax from last year, 2018, 2019, and 2020. It is higher than it should be, but I think that's because everybody was buying toilet paper. I just want to really express that before you make a decision, please come to my town. Please come look at it. We do not have a lot of things going for us. We're small, we have a Family Dollar, we have a Dollar General, and we have some mom and pops businesses. Those mom and pops businesses rely on this first Saturday of August. School kids, they get volunteer hours from helping park cars. It doesn't only affect the hunters, like I said before, it affects our whole town. And I'll let anybody ask me a question.
Thank you, Autumn.
Mayor, thank you very much for the comments, and certainly, as it's stated in the presentation, we don't want to do anything that takes away from the economies of these communities that help support our WMAs. We are looking at ways to hopefully drive more economic impact to your community. We love that the duck blind draw is one great day. I'm hoping to give you 60 great days on that side of things.
Well, that's the only 2 great days we have, that and the Spring Festival. And you can imagine that with COVID this year, both of those events, were a little different. Our Spring Festival had to get canceled. It's been rough, and I know these people are passionate about duck hunting, but my town is my life. I've always wanted to be mayor since I was a little girl, and I get to do it. So please really consider this. Call me at any time. If I'm not teaching, which is crazy right now, call me at any time. Come down, visit. I'll drive you around. I'll buy you a pizza from Mom and Pop's, and really try to help you think about the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
My name's Gary Greer. I got several things I'd like to address. First of all, appreciate the meeting and appreciate y'all allowing us to come and voice our opinions. I run a retail sporting goods store. The impact of duck hunting is very great for me. Deer season is very minimal. A guy can buy a box of shells and hunt for 2 years. You can't do that duck hunting. And so when people are getting a blind and they're there, we have locals that come in Benton County. I've hunted most all of the WMAs in Benton County. So when they come in, they're buying at the front end. They're buying their decoys. They're going to upgrade their decoys. They're buying 2 or 3 cases of shells because they're going to be hunting all year long. When we start bringing it to the point that we're not going to have that, that's going to impact us greatly because it's going to cut our sales a lot. Even though you say, well, people will be coming in and more people will be coming in, it doesn't mean they're going to buy. Whereas our locals always buy. They buy their clothes. They buy all of this because they're getting ready to hunt. Another thing I'd like to address with this is our kids. If our kids are not brought into hunting in 20 to 30 years, you're not going to have to worry about a meeting like this because you're not going to have it. One of the things that we do, we hunt several kids. We get a 60-day blind. Some of our bunch draws, and we get a blind. I've actually drawn for about 40 years. I've got one time that I know of I've drawn in 40 years. But I have a lot of friends who hunt, family who hunt, so somebody usually gets a blind where we can hunt. And so we hunt a lot of kids because I think it's very important for our kids to hunt. And when you know that you've got that opportunity, then those kids can come like they're out of school. They can come and they can hunt, especially during Christmas time. And so we'll have 6 or 8 kids that'll come, and they may not hunt. They just enjoy being there. They just enjoy being a part of it. And some of them will hunt. And I feel like it's very important for us to, as adults, to provide for our kids. And I feel like when we start cutting this down to the point that you're going to only hunt a weekend, and it's going to limit the number of people that you're going to have in a blind, then that's going to cut a lot of our kids out of hunting. And they need that opportunity. Another thing I know that you're concerned about, and I feel like is one of the biggest things you're trying to address here, is the sale of blinds. I have different feelings on that than probably a lot of people do. I realize that we say there's a law on that. I agree, maybe there is. I've never seen it. I've looked for it, but I've never seen it. I'd like to see the statute on it to know what it is. Last year we done a computer drawing, this year, and I can guarantee it didn't stop the sale of blinds. Not one bit. Matter of fact, in a retail business and setting, we had people coming in advertising that they wanted to sell their blind that they'd drawn. So it didn't do any good to do that. The question I would have, and this is not being rude or smart or anything of that nature, why do we care? Why are we upset if they sell a blind? If they guide or they hunt, why are we upset about that? What difference does it make? If they want to draw and they want to sell their blind, then that's fine. If you want the money, why don't you auction them off? Auction them off for 60 days or whatever, and TWRA get the money. You're going to make, when we sell license, so during this time of blind drawing, we'll sell multiple licenses of people that we know don't even hunt. They're not going to hunt. They're going for a lottery. They're going to sell their blind, whether they draw it in computer drawing or where else. And even if you break it down and do it in 3-day increments, what's that going to stop if somebody's saying, hey, I've got this blind, I know these hunters, they want to hunt, I'll let you hunt for $1,000. You're not going to stop it because people's going to hunt. Duck hunting is a big thing. It is a big economy boost for our county and Benton County. Matter of fact,
time's up.
Okay.
Remember, if y'all talk over the time, you're just taking away from,
right.
from the rest
Thank
of
you
everybody
so
here.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Greer.
I want to thank y'all for being our commissioners, and I want to thank Jeff Martin. I'm from Reelfoot Lake, by the way. My name's Chris Nafee. I work at Northwest Correctional Complex. I have lived around the lake all my life, hunted, fished with my dad. And what got me here today is I seen something about permanent blinds. Well, if you you need to put permanent draw blinds instead of permanent blinds in that, because that's the reason why I came. And that way everybody knows that you talk about the draw blinds itself.
Yes, sir.
So the second thing I have is, as far as these draw blinds, I'm against the 3 days. I think it should be 60 days, and I think that a lot of other people around Reelfoot Lake feels the same way. If I was going to draw for a blind and I was going to get it for 3 days, no, I'm not going to put in the time and the work, myself. You talking about, another fella said he talked about putting $1,500 in lumber in a blind. I mean, people's not going to do that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ronald White from Bass Springs, Tennessee, and I just come with one thing. I really want to thank the TWRA for finally addressing the problem that has been going for years. I also do a landscaping business and work about every Saturday, which almost makes it impossible to attend these drawings in person. It makes no sense in today's technology to force people to drive to the location to draw for a duck blind when you can buy the same license online like y'all did this year, and that's my only point.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. I've got this lime green.
My name is Ron Carrier. I'm from Dixon, Tennessee, and I've hunted Cheatham since the 60s when my dad used to take me. I've hunted Cheatham since the 60s when my dad used to take me. And I am all for the in-person, one-draw blind, 60-day season. I understand with the COVID situation that that's probably not going to happen again for this year. And I know that there are some issues with this current system where they took the quota hunt computer system and tried to adapt it for the 60-day season. And in this thing, I've expressed my opinions. Each person who entered, say, you probably had multiple single applicant entries this year. And that was because if you entered more than that, you still only had one chance. So each person in the group needs to be able to have eligible for a blind. If one person is selected, then they should be sign-ons and not eligible for any other blinds, in my opinion. That's the first issue. The second was only 25 priorities that were allowed. Old Hickory has over 80. So if you were selected, say all your 25 or 24 priorities were gone, but you were drawn in that first pick, you were eligible for a second pick. And that was just given to you, and you may or may not want to hunt that blind at all. I mean, it may have been some low-tier blind. So I think they need to change that. And in doing that, with a computer draw, I think they would be able to issue priority points. Now, it would need to be separate, in my opinion, from the quota hunts, so that if you're in a group of 8 and you don't get selected this year, then you obtain 1 priority point for next year's drawing. And if, say, it goes on for several years and there's other people that are in the same situation, you only have 1 priority point, they might have 2, and you want to join their group. But then the group would be penalized so that you'd only have the 1 priority point, just like the quota hunt. So, but I'm all for the 60-day season. If blinds go away, you're going to discriminate against the youth that, like the fellow said, that, you know, who wants to take their kids out in the rain, or the elderly. And I'm about in that category. But I think we need to keep that in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Carrier.
If I could, Chairman, just,
Yes.
we're getting a constant theme there, and I want to, like, a point to say, we recognize the difficulties with the permanent blinds. We recognize the idea that if we don't give them for 60 days, people are unlikely to build them as they have been. We also recognize the tradition of hunting in a permanent blind in Tennessee. We know that. We're going to do our level best to make sure that we protect against those blinds, or some of those blinds, as many as we can, being there. We're going to try to find a way to still allow some level of blind hunting in this state. We don't have a plan to get rid of all of the blinds. That's not a goal of ours.
One other thing I might add was in the priority in the quota hunts, that if you don't want if you're drawn and you don't want the blind, you have to have that 2-week period. If you didn't show up, say you said I'm gonna hunt it and I don't show up, then that pool sits empty. The way they have it on the permanent blind drawings is, if that blind is empty, anybody can come hop it. So you got that opportunity, but you don't have that if you use like the quota hunt system.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? All right. Mr. Hagan, you've had your hand up. Sam, you've had your hand up for a while. It's hard to look past these guys here, but you've had it.
My name is Sam Hagan. I'm from Lobelville, Tennessee. I've been hunting in the Camden Bottom since 1974. And as of today, I have built a blind at blind site number 22. This makes the 15th time I built a blind there. Years ago, when the commission decided to change the amount of people that could be in a blind and the size of the blind, before then I was taking an average of 200 new duck hunters every year because I had an opportunity. My wife came in 1999. She then, just as a hunter, there was 43 people in my house to go duck hunting the next morning. Okay, when they changed the size of the blind, that was gone. You can have 30 kids, but you can have 8 adults. So it's not a safety factor. We don't know what it is. Have the 60-day season, draw for the blinds. The guy said he spent $1,500 to build a blind. I would like to get him to build blinds for me, because this year, every year it's been averaging about $2,500 to $3,000 material to build a blind. I got plenty of good carpenters, duck hunters that hunt with me. We build blinds. This year, we got the quote from the same company we always get it from. It was $7,168 to build a blind. We didn't do that. We got the Mennonite sawmill to saw it. We got $1,200 plus 10 and everything else. We got probably $2,000 in it this year.
But I can't get, but if you don't have but 8 people, 8 grown-ups, you need to get back to why you care what size the blind is. The blind I had one time for 25 was 52 foot long. I had 36 people in there opening morning. We had Doug Jackson and his 2 sons, Senator Doug Jackson, his 2 sons were in there with us. He said, I'd never had an opportunity to hunt Camden Bottom if it hadn't been for you and this big blind. But that's not anymore. If you want to get more people duck hunting, why you care about what size blind it is, how many people you carry. It's not a safety factor because you already said that. 8 adults, but 25, 30 kids with shotguns? No. It's get it back to where it was. You get more participation. These communities, the motels in Camden, used to, they were full when I was carrying, because the people, they were coming to the motels, the restaurants were full, the motels were full. Now they're not. And you think these people from Chattanooga and everywhere else in the world is going to come to West Tennessee or to Tennessee management areas to hunt for 3 days and spend money? No. Just like the guy said a minute ago. The locals support the duck hunting in Tennessee management, bar none. Your survey, I don't know who did it, and yes I do. We saw the information. I wasn't going to say that, but that's bullshit.
You can sit down. I would have asked you a question, but if you can't control your language, then I'm not going to let you speak. So I would like to know how you got drawn 15 times for one blind. That's impressive. I'm the right here, green shirt.
Can I just add to his?
No.
Since
Not right now. I'll call on you in a minute. These guys had their hands up. These 3 right here have had their hands up for a while.
Thank you. I'm John Lancaster from Trenton, Tennessee, and most of my questions came with Taggart, but it seems like we've kind of beat Taggart to death. The one thing I do want my voice heard on is the gentleman before me said there's several thousand acres that we can hunt. At any time I can put my boat in, I can go hunt. My line of work, I work weekends. I don't get off. I have to take off. I make it a point to take off for the draws. This year was easier on me because it was electronic. I did like that. However, I do understand that in a lot of these communities, when I go to Taggart, there's at least 1 or 2 fire stations that will do raffles and do things like that. They have a Jake's Day, and a lot of money goes to that. Since we've beat Taggart up, let's not overlook Gooch. I don't hunt it a lot. It's not my home base, but my understanding there's about 6,000 acres there, and you've got 34 blinds. So if you go and say we're going to shut that down, then you've lost how many acres for people to get in and hunt, and there's access there. The other issue that I have with the blind draws, somebody touched on it, but this year I have a group of about 10 people that I go with, and I find that when you go to Taggart, go to the fairgrounds to draw, there's people that have several hundred people with them to draw blinds. That's how these guys are getting these blinds year after year after year. That's the nature of the beast. That's the way it's been set up. That's fair. I mean, unless you change it, there's nothing you can do about it, and I don't support a change on it because my name could come out of that hat just as well. But the question keeps coming up, how are you getting these blinds? That's how they're doing it. I've got about 10 buddies. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never been drawn. My name has never came out of that pot. But I still get to hunt anywhere I want to hunt. I can put my boat in on Reelfoot and ride around after daybreak and climb in any blind I want to climb in. If I don't find a blind, I can pull over to the side of the bank, throw my decoys out. So just please bear that in mind when you're thinking of this stuff. I appreciate y'all's time, and I appreciate you having us here.
Thank you. Either one of you, sir. All right.
My name is Chandler Fazell. I'm from the Troy area. I'm pretty young in the duck hunting game. I'm 24 now, but I grew up hunting public land with my family my whole life. And just from what I've looked at with this survey and stuff, the survey seems to be where the problems have come from, and that's why we're looking for solutions. My only problem with that is that when y'all displayed that information, only 37% were unsatisfied in the western region. So we're basing most of our unsatisfaction from Middle and East Tennessee. I guess what I believe would be better, is maybe base each region to decide their solutions for their problems, or for a region to tell you their problems. I don't believe someone that lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee should decide how WMAs are managed in Sandburg, okay? I could be wrong in that, but they've got they got Woods Reservoir, several WMAs over there. My proposal would be, let each region decide what they feel is best for their region. Like I said, only 37% were unhappy in Western region. To me, that's not a majority. You could even, send a survey based on region again to see that. But right now, we're all gathered here today looking for a solution, and specifically here in West Tennessee, it didn't look to me like there's a problem. Now, overall, generally, yes, you had 57% East Tennessee. What was it, 47% from, I'm going off of memory here. But regardless, in West Tennessee, which is where also I believe that majority of TWRA revenue probably comes from. I'm putting this out there, but I would say, probably 50% of licenses are bought in between Sandburg and Memphis. I could be wrong, but
you're wrong there.
Oh, okay. Well, anywho,
Very wrong.
a vast amount of duck hunters hunt West Tennessee, and they are very religious about it. And that survey was sent out, and I've got degrees and stuff like that. And you're right, the survey had enough numbers to be accurate. But with that, in the western region, only 37% said they were unhappy. But here we are trying to create a solution when technically there wasn't a problem, Only 37% in the western region were unhappy. If anything, make how you do with the blind specific, to each region. Let each region decide how they want to be, because as it's been discussed previously, us local people are the ones that are, supporting these local establishments, WMAs and stuff like that. So that's my main thing, if we're all here wanting a solution, but only 37% said we had a problem,
I'm gonna let Chris address it.
Appreciate the comments very much, and certainly, your point is well taken. Each one of these areas is a little bit different, and we're not going to be able to find one way to do every single area, or it's not going to make as much sense as if we drill down and we look specifically at how this WMA works and what is the best way to maximize opportunity and participation. And we have to focus, and it will be a focus of ours, on that participation by local duck hunters that want to go 40, 50, 60 days a year. I'm one of those guys, believe me, I am. So we're not gonna lose sight of those things. As to your specific comments about the survey, I could certainly go to Chief Benedict, and he could dive into those numbers a little bit more. But at the end of the day, the scientifically valid survey said that there's 20% of people that are satisfied with the current procedures in the state of Tennessee. We're a statewide agency. We have to take that into consideration. And yes, the best duck hunting is absolutely in West Tennessee.
That was of the 900, 20% of the 900. Is that correct?
Yes, but it's still accurate. That survey is completely accurate. You actually got more numbers than you technically needed, just because statistics class and everything else.
At the end of the day, I want to thank you for your comments and say that you're exactly right. We've got to look at these areas individually and find the uniqueness of each one and make sure that we're not doing something that negatively affects one of those.
Yeah, because you're a statewide organization, but with that, don't change the whole state when only this part of it's unhappy. I guess that's what I'm saying. Address each region as each region. And like I said, with the survey that we currently have, there's not a problem over here. Now across the board, yes. But maybe one of the questions, if you send another one out, was how often do an East Tennessee or Tennessee duck hunter, come over here to hunt? And then secondly, sorry, I'm taking up so much time.
Yeah, time's up, Jim. I'm gonna have to let somebody else speak.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right here. I got him
Good morning. My name's Ron Parks. I'm from Obion County, Tennessee, and I am here to speak specifically on Reelfoot Lake. I see a lot of familiar faces. Good to see some of y'all I hadn't seen in a while, but we operate a couple different businesses throughout West Tennessee. One of them in particular revolves around a lot of traffic for Reelfoot Lake. My great-grandfather grew up making his living on the banks and on the water of Reelfoot. So as many of you know, Reelfoot is one of the most unique places in the state in regards to people, location, the whole gambit, if not one of the most unique places in the U.S. to go waterfowl hunt. A lot of people make their living off that lake and on that lake. Resorts, guides, and we bring people in from all over the United States. I do not actually hunt on Reelfoot Lake. I've been multiple times, but I'm here representing as many of them as possible. So the biggest point being on that is Reelfoot is a little different than a lot of these other WMAs. I have no valid input on that because I don't know anything about them. I don't hunt them. So what I do know is Reelfoot. Reelfoot Lake is not a place that somebody from Michigan or East Tennessee that's never been on it can just go out there and expect to have success. You've got multiple safety applications that you must take into account. It's a unique lake, lots of underwater debris, structures that are shallow, that can cause lots of damage. And for people that don't know what they're doing, that's a problem. It's a big safety problem. TWRA, local resources are not suited to take care of a burden like that. The thing that's unique about Reelfoot with the permanent blind sites is you have people that are local and across the state that have been doing it for years that come in that have an understanding of the lake, of the businesses that take place on the lake, and are professionals. I mean, some of these professionals may be 21-year-old boys. I mean, that's a fact. They grew up on that lake. They know as much about it as anybody. Some of these professionals are 85-year-old men that have been guiding on that lake for 70 years. So there's a level of knowledge that we don't need to replace. You've got to keep that aspect there, and you cannot do Reelfoot in 3-day quota hunts. There's no way that you can support the infrastructure. The TWRA does not have the resources. The state park does not have the resources. It's not possible to support that. And you're talking about opportunity. If you've got 100 guides on Reelfoot Lake, some of them using private held blinds, some of them draw a blind and get to use that. You know, that's their prerogative. The goal in this is the opportunity and to keep that available for people all over the United States, not just in the state of Tennessee. And, you know, you had your charts and all that explaining that you can justify, you know, getting 8,000 more people or whatever. I would dare say that the amount of people that get to experience Reelfoot Lake is in the tens of thousands, 25, 30, 40,000 people every season for $150 a day. Now, all of you that put in the effort in blinds and building and structures and land, whether it be on public or private, I guarantee you got way more than $150 a day in it. You know, it's a passion thing. So Reelfoot in specifically, I think it's at a good place now, and I think it should be maintained that way. It's just a unique setting, and the aspect of it as far as safety goes, the debris, it's a completely different and unique situation unlike anywhere in the state. And there's a level of tradition that's upheld there. There's a, you know, Reelfoot Lake, it may not be the best hunting place in the United States anymore, but the nostalgia to it and the draw brings people from all over the United States and the world. And the infrastructure on that lake, the private blinds and the public blinds that people help keep up every year is unlike anywhere else in the U.S. And we can accommodate veterans. I know of multiple instances. We do this every year on our place. You know, we carry special operators with special ops excursions and things like that. And that is not unique to one or two people on Reelfoot Lake. That is a common theme, and that lake is shared by everyone through the common practice that's already in place. And I think it would be a mistake to change Reelfoot. I have no input on the rest of it, but like I said, it's a unique situation that must be handled on its own. It should not be lumped into the rest because it is unlike anything else. And I'm here to, you know, to voice my opinion and a lot of other people's opinion that make a living on that lake that are able to bring tens of thousands of people a year at a fair price to enjoy our precious resource in the state. I mean, there's nothing else like it. So let's keep that the way it is.
All right, thanks. Terry.
I'm Terry Leonard. I'm from Big Sandy, Tennessee. I'm a farmer. I'm a hunter. I'd like to echo Mayor Ratliff's statements and opinions. I'd like to echo as well as Brother Greer's. I think most of us are old enough and we've seen enough that less government is better. Every time that we try to have the government fix something, it goes afoul. These permanent blind sites, there's no way that you're going to get TWRA employees or they subcontracted out to build the blinds and to brush the blinds like they've been doing. In 1940s or whenever it was, down in Camden Bottoms, they used to pick a blind daily. They had a board down there, I was told. They got away from that. Why? Because it was broke, and they fixed it. They had the blind drawing the first Saturday, and I'm quite simply, I hadn't drawn a blind in 30 years. I do not hunt on WMAs. My sons do. I apply every year for a duck blind, and quite simply, if I draw one, I'd let my sons and whomever else wanted to sign on. Big Sandy, it's wrong to take the money away from the charities at Big Sandy as well as the merchants, and there's a $2,500 based upon Mayor Ratliff's documentation. They lost $2,500 due to the online blind drawing. It's worked for years. I'm sorry TWRA can't receive some monies, tax from the blind sales. I'm sorry that TWRA can't find these people that's buying or selling the blinds. But the fund to TWRA with the license and the wildlife or the WMA permits, it generates a tremendous amount of money to TWRA. If someone's willing to spend the money for the so-called lottery, so be it. You got 20-something hundred people down there the first Saturday of each year. And Big Sandy lost $2,500 plus just to the sales tax loss revenue for August of 19 to August of 20. And that's not even counting all the donations and the benefits. I'm for leaving it at the 60 days. There's no way anyone's going to build those blinds, my son or otherwise, and brush those blinds. TWRA is government. We don't need TWRA building the blinds. They do their law enforcement. They've got a great bunch of employees as to the planning and the maintenance, and leave the blinds alone. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right, we got Mr. Junior first, and then I'll go to.
How are y'all? Thank you for having me today. Excuse me. Thank you for having an open forum so we could get up and voice our opinions. I'm an avid hunter, avid duck hunter. J.R. Sweat. James R. Sweat. I moved here in 91. I previously lived in Florida and Georgia. I've duck hunted all my entire life. I fished. I put on numerous catfish tournaments up and down the Tennessee River. I'm here to address two issues. The first issue is we left out White Oak and Lebanon Pond again. It's like the redheaded stepchild as usual. We finally got a very competent manager down there, Mr. Chad Harding. I'm very pleased, and others are very pleased with what Chad's work and Chad is doing. He built one of the best dove fields that I have ever attended on a WMA, and I filmed him. And I also sent it to Southern Woods and Waters, so he got recognition. One of the problems with white oak is it turned into a computer draw, and that's one of the best things that's ever happened because somebody was going to get hurt. There's 10 spots, and you go for a computer draw either 3 days or either 4 days. You get drawn, you send in your request, says, yes, I'm going to hunt those days. All right, if you don't pick, say there's 5 spots that are prime, if you don't get one of those 5 spots, but yet you still want to hold on to your spot, you don't send that request in that you're going to deny it. So therefore, it doesn't go into the handheld drawing or the computerized drawing or the box drawing, whatever we're doing this year because of COVID. So what happens ultimately is you have 4 or 5 blinds that are filled that day and that they're hunting that day, and these other guys are sitting back here in the wings going, are there any ducks out there? If there's not, I'm not going to go out there. So you've got 5 more blinds that are sitting here that's not being hunted. So that's one of the problems that I see on a boat blind WMA. As far as, look, I've boat blind hunted all my life. I've got an Avery that's got a rain top on it. I've got, I cook in my boat. I can hunt 4 out of my boat. I hunt Mississippi River. I hunt Arkansas. I hunt reelfoot. I'm an avid duck hunter. The other problem is I have been to Camden's drawings for years. I don't even know how long. It doesn't matter to me whether it's blind or handheld. I can understand the economic impact on the town of Big Sandy. I used to love to go up there, sit and jaw and see everybody and walk through all the exhibits. Heck, I spent money up there. But at the same time, this year was the first year that any one of ours I was 1 number north, 1 number south last year. This year is the first year that any of us got drawn. Well, we go up there, we're excited, we go up there, we find our blind. We, by the way, have put around $1,200 in our blind, and it's not built. We restructured the floor to where nobody would fall through, but we also put 6 loads of 22-foot brush on the blind. We've got it huntable. Nobody else is going to do that. But on the same hand, when I'm sitting there brushing this blind, and I have a car come up the same road, and dude gets out and he's drinking Budweiser, which I'm not against drinking, don't get me wrong. But he says, hey, y'all want to say you blind? I just kind of look at him like he's crazy, and he walks on over there. He said, this blind sold for $12,000 last year. Would you take that for it this year? I said, where are you from? And he gave me his name, and he gave me his address. We go back. I tell him, no, I'm not interested. We go back. 2 weeks later, we're back up there. He walks up and he says, $15,000. Will that buy the blind? And I'm looking at him like, dude, I've been here 20 years trying to get a blind to hunt in here. I boat hunt Camden. That's another story I'll get into. But
yeah, time's up, so I'm going to let you finish up.
Well, you want to hear this about the meth making in the blind.
I know, but I'm taking away from these folks that want to speak.
Anyway, I don't know what the answer is to it, but I know you got empty blinds sitting on Lebanon Pond. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jerry. The sweatshirt right here. Danny Burton, I got you next.
Hello, my name's Dustin Ferris. I believe I'm probably one of the few here from Middle Tennessee. I've got these right here that y'all can pass out. When people found out I was coming out here, they sent me lots of comments, lots of opinions, lots of PowerPoints. And this is just kind of, I guess everyone that knew me knew I was coming. This is what they wanted heard, part of their voices. And thank y'all for this, actually letting us come and speak. But one of my big things especially is the safety. When we take kids all year long to these blinds. I mean, that's one of our huge things is getting kids involved. I'm part of a New Vision Sportsman's Ministry. We bring kids hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting, waterfowl hunting. When we're in a blind, we've got a structure there. You've got 90% of your blinds have notches cut in your wall where your gun's set. You can cook for the kids. Everything. It's an enjoyable hunt. You ain't got to worry about the guns falling over and going off. It's a huge safety thing for us. When you go to hunting from a bank or a boat, and like they say, the blinds will eventually fade away if you do this. If you do go to where you're hunting from the bank or the boat, your safety aspect is gone. Kids can fall in the water. There's hypothermia. You don't have a heater, keep them warm. Nowhere sealed off in the back room for safety. Anytime you're bringing a new hunter in, if it's not enjoyable, they're not going to have fun. They're not going to come back. When they're in the blind, it's comfortable. All this is in here. Some of the people that I've talked to that were for the 3-day draw hunt that wanted to change that, they all have public or private land they can hunt. So to this, they would be gaining a 3-day bonus hunt on a rested area. To the rest of us, that's taking 57 days away. We all rely on the public land and the public blinds, and I prefer the blinds as much as anybody else. But to me, it seems all the ones that I've heard that preferred the change, they all have private places to hunt. No one that relies on public land that I have heard has wanted this change. A lot of the people that I've talked to, and I have talked to a few people that did take the survey, and they said they were unhappy. They were not unhappy with the draw system. They were unhappy with what we're getting for our money. Not saying that they're not trying. And I take it, and people that don't farm may not understand, but you take a food hole that floods every year, it's harder to grow crops in that than it is anywhere else. I get that. But at that same time, emphasize a little more on the food in these food holes, and that would help tremendously on the happiness of the hunters. And as stated before, the majority of the people unhappy were East Tennessee. Instead of changing West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, could we not try to focus on getting them more hunting opportunities, more flooded crop fields, more huntable land like we have in Middle Tennessee and East Tennessee, to give them that more opportunity that they don't have to drive for. I mean, even if we go to the 3-day draw system, they still have that travel. And as far as on the blind drawing system, I'd much rather go to the in-person draw. It's great. I love it. But at the same time, if it has to go to the online draw because of COVID, we can't fight that. But like it was stated before, if we put in as a group of 8 this year, we only had one chance to get a blind for 8 people. There could be a new system implemented, and this one was used short notice, which is understandable. But if there is a new system implemented to where if 8 people put in, 8 people have 8 chances to draw. Once one name's drawn, that's that party. You pull that party out, nobody else. They all get a card to that blind, just like you would at a handheld draw. When my name's drawn, me and my 5-6 friends go up and we get a card. We're out. If we could.
Time, Dustin, if you can finish up.
But yes, everything is in here, and thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Danny, one more.
My name is Danny Burton. I want to thank y'all for coming to my backyard. From Perryville, Tennessee. Sheriff Byrd, good friend. Your dad, fine man, Mr. Holbert. I was fortunate enough, Mrs. Box, you probably don't know me. Your husband hunted with me. Your father hunted with me. He had nowhere to hunt. I worked for a man when I was 13 years old. We brushed 21 duck blinds, yes, 21 duck blinds on the Tennessee River. Why? Public duck hunting. I say that to say this. Somebody in here carried you duck hunting. You were a youngster. I was 13, okay. This gentleman took care of me like he was my second father. He's no longer with us, okay. He went to church with Mr. Holbert's dad and myself. You got to take this consideration. If that man did not carry me duck hunting, look at the thousands of dollars spent in the state of Tennessee, West Tennessee, and all over. Someone had carried him hunting. And I say this, Mr. Sam Hagan, thank you for carrying me hunting when I was a young man. I hunted where he's hunting this year in blind 22. The blind then was 36 foot long. I agree with the length of the blinds. I don't care. Why should it matter how high, how wide you are? I've never been drawn in Big Sandy. I started going down there in 1977. I hunted with a retired game warden, Carnell Arnold. Enjoyed hunting down there. We hunted up here in public lands. I've hunted up and down the Tennessee River. It's changed. Why? Crops. No crops. You've got to control the crops in West Tennessee and also in Tennessee River. There's too many houses up here. That's why the ducks are not taking this flyway. Mr. Richardson, I'm sorry, sir, you didn't get the job. You should have got Mr. Carter's job. I'll make that public. I hunted in Missouri, Arkansas, South Dakota, different places. I do agree. But the flyways are changing. Camden Bottom needs to stay the way it is. Stay 60 days. Do not take that away from Big Sandy. We've all played Little League Baseball. We've all got children, cousins, nephews somewhere. Don't take that away from Big Sandy. I pay $5 where we go up there right now to park, and it goes to the church, okay? I'm one of the oldest guys in my group now. The guy behind me is 73. It's sad, I'm 58 years old. One of our young guys drew a blind this year in Camden. I've never been drawn, like I said. I've been going since 77. Mr. Leonard behind me, his son is my neighbor this year, okay? I know they're good people. Let me say this to say this. You got to, TWRA, thank you for what you're doing, but you cannot take care of those blinds like Mr. Leonard said and Mr. Hagan said. Y'all don't have the manpower. I hunted in blind 74. A friend of mine drew it years ago. He's sitting back there with me, okay? They can't right now. Y'all can barely get the handicap blind brushed and maintained for handicap people. So you cannot maintain. You do not have the manpower to do that. Tigert, I agree with them people. Those people do need some help in Tigert. Do not change the 60-day season. If I draw a blind, if I ever draw a blind in Camden, I want to be able, I'm retired, to hunt and go and enjoy and what I want to do with it. If it's mine, hey, just like in a raffle and a shotgun. If I were in a shotgun in a raffle, I won a four-wheeler over here one time. I kept it. It's mine. I could have sold it. I could have gave it away. That doesn't matter. That belongs to me. That belongs to Danny Burton. Mr. Holbert, like I said, your daddy was a good man. I enjoyed hunting with him when he had no place to hunt. That's why we had those public blinds. Mrs. Box, Brad had no place to hunt. We hunted one of our blinds. Thank y'all for what y'all are doing. Thank you folks for coming to Perryville and Decatur County. I love this place. I'm going to continue to duck hunt, whether I have to go to Missouri, Arkansas, Camden, South Dakota with Mo Buddy, or whatever. But thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny. All right, I would like to recognize somebody that just walked in. I'm going to have to stop. It's 11:50. We're supposed to be out of here at 12 or dismissed at 12. State Senator-elect Paige Wally, I saw you walk in. I don't know who in the world sent you to the wrong place, but I would definitely hold that against him. So anyway, I told him it was a UT Martin about 3 weeks ago when I texted him, and I forgot to tell him we changed the location. But anyway, thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you in Nashville. He serves from Decatur County all the way to Fayette County. So many of you in here are represented by him. But thank you for being here today, Paige. Appreciate it. I'm going to have to stop the public comment. I do have Commissioner Sanders that would like to make a comment. He's on Zoom. He has to be off at noon, so I'm going to give him a chance to comment or say something, or he won't have the opportunity to. So, Commissioner Sanders, if you can hear me, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do appreciate this opportunity and all of the people that have come out there to speak. But speaking as someone from the Chattanooga area, one of the reasons that we do have a lot of people here, and I've received as many emails supporting changes, is because it is tough for someone from the eastern part of the state to come over there, and we do want to hunt over there. I wished it was as easy as giving us more opportunities over here. If we can figure out how to give us more ducks over here, then we wouldn't be wanting to come over there and hunt. So I don't know, this is the first time I've heard the proposals. I'm looking forward to the discussions that are going to happen, but do understand that, you know, it is an opportunity thing that people do want, especially the people in eastern Tennessee that are supporters of ducks unlimited. I just came from a big DU event here in Chattanooga just a week or so ago, and they're passionate about hunting West Tennessee, and so I do appreciate the agency putting the effort in. And that may be why you got so many unsatisfied hunters in East Tennessee, is because we don't have the opportunities in West Tennessee to come over there and hunt with a lot of the current system that's out there. So that's all I'll say at this time. Thanks, Bert.
All right. Thanks, Commissioner Sanders. I do have Mike Butler here from the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. I'll give him an opportunity to speak before I knew they drove a long way to. They represent a lot of hunters. And
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to keep this brief. Mike Butler with the Wildlife Federation. Couple points that we want to make. Number one, thank you for doing the survey. We've been hearing concerns for over a decade,
It's always been anecdotal. That puts rubber on the road. Thank you for doing it with a third party, a disinterested third party, I should say, because they did follow best practices, and we trust those results as indicating that there's issues. So that leads to the second point, which is we've got a problem. We've got a problem with dissatisfaction among duck hunters. I think we all know that more ducks might solve part of that problem coming down the flyway. But I think the other part of it is that folks want more opportunity. And we're not here to pitch you a proposal right now. We're getting a lot of feedback from people that are our supporters and our duck hunters. We want to look at the concepts that we put out today, and we're going to be providing you with feedback from our folks in the next 2 to 3 months as they come by. But what I wanted to kind of wrap up with is that, duck hunters are a very passionate group of people, and I are one. My first duck hunt at the age of 10 years old was out of a boat at Tigert WMA. And from about 1979 to 1993, I hunted almost every day of the season, either at Tigert, Camden, Reelfoot, or at a private club outside of Halls, Tennessee. And the point I would make with that is this. The system we have now is not what it's always been. You've heard several people mention there were day draws back in the day. It also means that if we make changes to provide more opportunity, then we have the ability to tweak those changes. And we have the ability to look ahead down the road, and we're going to be faced with having to tweak things moving into the future. I think that there is a real desire from folks in Middle and East Tennessee to have access to the public lands that they own just as much as anybody that, like me, that grew up in Jackson, Tennessee. And that's a very important thing to consider. They buy their licenses just like we do. When I passed the right to hunt and fish constitutional amendment through our organization, they have the right to hunt and fish just as much as these people do. And these traditions are important. They need to be maintained in some capacity. But in the end, we have about 14,000 to 18,000 waterfowl hunters in this state right now, based on any kind of statistic you can look at. When I was growing up, it was about twice that number. There are a lot of reasons why that number is declining. But when a person can't go from Middle Tennessee or East Tennessee or even parts of West Tennessee and reliably be able to access quality public land waterfowl hunting, that's something that needs to be addressed, and we applaud you for addressing that. I think moving forward, one of the things that is going to be really important is looking at all the different options that you put on the table. And there was one last point that I wanted to finish up with, and I'll be quiet and sit down. We have an opportunity here to change things for the better so that we are the envy of public waterfowl hunting. I'm tired of hearing about how great public waterfowl hunting is in Chris's home state of Missouri. I've hunted Arkansas on public lands a lot. We are not viewed as a primary place for public waterfowl hunting. We have an ability to change that. That will drive economic activity, that'll drive money, that'll drive a lot of benefits to these communities. Change is hard, it's scary, we get that, we respect that. But I think moving forward, we want to work with you to try to find ways to make things better and improve all these opportunities. So with that, I'll take any questions or.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate what you do and what your organization does. Has any commissioners got a word before we adjourn at noon? Looking around. How about online, Commissioner Ripley?
Unmute. There we go. Mr. Chairman, I thank everybody that's appeared here today to talk to us. I know that they are very, very sincere in their thoughts, and that's what makes this country great, is that we engage in robust debate. We talk about things, we figure things out together. There's a lot here to think about. We need to give it very, very serious thought. You know, I grew up as a duck hunter in East Tennessee, if there's such a thing. We sat in the mud on Douglas Lake and be lucky if we saw a wood duck from time to time. And so, you know, as somebody that loves to duck hunt, I can understand why we have hunters in East Tennessee and Middle Tennessee who are discouraged that they seem to be, to some degree, closed out of the good hunting areas in the state, even though their license dollars, like everyone else's, goes to support these WMAs. So I think it's a debate and an important question that we all need to give a lot of serious thought to. But again, I thank all those who came and took their time to share with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ripley. Does anybody else online like to make a comment? Director Wilson, you got anything? It is good to have you in Decatur County. Good to have Sheriff Byrd sitting over here. Worked a few years for TWRA, I think. 35. Appreciate you being here as well. I appreciate each one of you, whether we agree or whether we don't. I didn't invite you here really thinking that we would all be on the same page. I invited you here to hear what you had to say. Hope you each respect that and each respect each other's opinion in this matter. Many of you have called me. I think somebody probably stand up and say you didn't return my call, but I think I returned everybody's call that I got a voicemail from or a text. And most of the other commissioners, I know Commissioner Box and some other commissioners, Ripley and everybody up here, McLaren, I know got a lot of emails I've seen on the threads where they went through. But we actually do appreciate your opinion and support. Commissioner Box? I'm done.
I just want to first of all thank everybody for being here. Is this on? Pretty loud without the microphone.
It's off.
Is that better? That's louder. I want to thank every single person being here today, and I know this is major. I can tell from my emails and my phone calls, and my kids are, you're on duck blind calls again, Mom. When you get done, we got questions for you. So it is very important to all of us, and it's hard to see behind the scenes how hard this commission's working. They want every single comment. They want every single email. We want to do what we can to make this work, and it's just incredible amount of time and effort's been done, and we're not done. We're just getting started on. We want to make this better, and that's why it's important. Every one of y'all emailed and called, and I just want to thank y'all for being here today. And we're gonna work as hard as we can. I've got 2 black labs, and if I say the word bird, they're just psycho crazy. We love it, and I brushed about 3 blinds last year and fell in the mud pulling up the decoys. So I mean, I know it's a love. It's an important place. West Tennessee is very unique. So anyway, thank y'all for being here.
Chairman Holbert, if I may?
Yes.
Just, and I should have done this at the beginning of my presentation. I apologize, but I got the privilege today to stand in front of you all and talk about duck blinds. And there's some people sitting at that table right there that were prepared to answer any very specific questions because they're the real experts. I just get to talk. But these guys, Joe Benedict and his staff and these area managers of our WMAs, they're who does the work. And I want to thank you guys for the effort you put into this point, and thank you in advance, because as you heard today and as you know, there's still a lot more work left to do. But thank you very much.
I agree. Also thank the City of Parsons, Mayor Tim David Bowes, for letting us be here. I don't think anybody was turned away. I know it was a lot of people were worried they weren't be able to get in and listen. Would like to thank him for making it where we could come in here and everybody sit in the same room. So I'm done, Terry.
If you could just give the crowd the itinerary of what we can expect with
the
public
timeline
meeting. Yes.
I'll let Chris do that.
Well, a lot depends
you
on the
both
will
are
of the commission.
attorneys.
I could say that I would anticipate that the agency will go back and continue to work diligently on these proposals. There's a couple of different ways that the agency can pass regulations. We have proclamation authority, which is how we generally do our season settings things. Those are a little bit easier. A rule change, which would be involved if we set up any new types of draw procedures that we were going to employ on certain areas, takes a rule. in order to have a rule in place by the time these blinds are drawn the next year, any vote that the commission takes on such a rule would need to be done no later than February.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I appreciate you being here and appreciate you coming to Decatur County. Thank you.